Good morning, students. Today, we are going to cover the most important topic of production, that is, a forecasting technique for production planning, or we can say a demand forecasting. Before taking the decision of production, you have to identify how much we have to produce. What is the demand for that particular good or services? So, forecasting means is estimating the future demand for a product and service and the resources necessary to produce the output. It is a systematic process that involves anticipating the demand for a product and service of an organization in future under a set of uncontrollable and competitive forces. Accurate demand forecasting is essential for a firm to enable it to produce the required quantity at the right time and arrange well in advance the various inputs. Demand forecasting is an estimate of sales during a specified future period based on proposed marketing plan and a set of particular uncontrollable and competitive forces. So, forecasting is a fundamental to a planning. Forecasting are a statement about a future which specify the volume of sales to be achieved and equipment, material and other inputs needed to realize the expected sales. A popular definition of forecasting is that it is an estimate the future demand for a product and service and the resources necessary to produce these output. And for starting point for forecasting is sales or a demand forecast and sale forecast trigger all other forecasting of production function. क्योंकि जब आपको सेल्स के बारे में पता है कि कितनी सेल्स हो सकती है, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली द डिमांड इज, उसी से हमारी सारी फोरकास्टिंग जो है वो ट्रिगर होती है प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन की, कि हाउ मच रिसोर्सेज यू रिक्वायर टू प्रोड्यूस दैट पर्टिकुलर गुड्स. Poor demand forecasting lead to ineffective production planning and inventory to a high or a too small, which both the condition is not good for any organization. And the rate of production must vary to meet the fluctuating demand from time to time, usually we can say from month to month. A time period of several months may be necessary to change the capacity of production process. Intermediate range demand forecast help operation manager getting the lead time necessary to provide the capacity to produce the product to meet the variable monthly demand. I hope now you understand how much demand forecasting is important. And for the main component we are talking about, the main component of sale forecasting system are: first is your market research operation, where you try to know the various trend. Then data processing and analysis to estimate and evaluate the sales performance. And third is a proper coordination between these two, means market research operation and data processing and analysis, and place a finding before the top management so they can take the reliable decisions. Now, the objective of demand forecasting, why we do demand forecasting? Basically, we have two types of objective in demand forecasting: short term objective and long term objective. In short term objective, first is to formulation of production policy. Demand forecasting generally help us to forecast the demand by which help us to make a production policy very effective by regular supply of raw material, by maximum utilization of machines and other resources, and regular availability of the labor. Then pricing policy formulation. With the help of demand forecasting, appropriate price are set, so it cannot fluctuate in depression or in inflation condition. Then proper control on the sales. The sales target are fixed and become base to evaluate their salesperson performance with the help of this. Then it help in arrangement of finance. In short run, whatever finance is required, if you have done a demand forecasting, you know very well ki how much finance is required at what stage, so you can able to arrange well in advance. Then long term objective. Long term, in terms of long term, to decide about their production capacity, because in long run we can change our capacity. We can increase or decrease our production capacity by installing new machines, new resources and all. Output should conform with the sales requirement. जितनी आपकी सेल्स है उसी के अकॉर्डिंग आप लोगों की जो है आउटपुट होना चाहिए. एंड टू स्मॉल और टू लार्ज इज़ नॉट इकोनॉमिकल. अगर टू स्मॉल है तो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो नॉट इकोनॉमिकल, it increased the cost, or too large hai, that is also increased the cost. So we have to make a output according to the requirement. Labor requirement, in long run what type of labor you need, what type of skills you need, whether you need a labor intensive industry है तो आपने कहा कि भाई less skilled laborers हमारे काम आएंगे. But if you plan to increase the capacity, you are using a fully automatic machines, then the requirement of labor, the skill requirement of the labor is totally changed. So it help in that also, and it help in arranging a long term finance also. We can plan how to arrange that fund to increase our capacity, to install a new machines, etc. Therefore, overall success of the enterprise mainly depend on quality and reliability of the demand forecasting. Clear? Now see this, in demand forecasting, this is a forecasting model. In demand forecasting, you see the information is input. Information input means you are scanning the environment in detail, कि what type of environment exists, what is the demand pattern, what are the factors that affect the demand pattern, and based on that analysis, the sale forecast translate into forecast the demand for operation. जो सेल फोरकास्ट है आप डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग में चेंज करते हैं. एंड फॉर लॉन्ग रेंज फोरकास्ट, इंटरमीडिएट रेंज फोरकास्ट एंड शॉर्ट रेंज फोरकास्ट. ओके, इन लॉन्ग रेंज फोरकास्ट फैक्ट्री कैपेसिटी कितनी होनी चाहिए, capital fund how much is required, what type of facility is needed, and other type of resources you are going to forecast. Then in intermediate range, which is from 3 to 5 years, you can say how much workforce is required, what is the departmental capacity, what is the requirement of purchase material, inventories कितनी होनी चाहिए, ये सब आप decide करते हैं. In short range, you cannot alter the long term or you can say fixed assets, but you can change or you can increase or decrease the resources that are used in manufacturing, like labor. You can increase if the demand is increasing, machine capacity, cash, inventory. So in short range forecast you can estimate these requirement and accordingly you can arrange it. Like आपने देखा होगा, जैसे माना शादी है, जैसे अभी अब दिवाली आएगी, दिवाली में आप देखते हैं कि शोरूम्स में या शादी का सीज़न आएगा, शोरूम्स पे सेल्स पर्सन की रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ जाती है, तो लेबर्स इंक्रीज़ हो जाते हैं. ठीक है, कैश और इन्वेंट्रीज़ की रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ जाती है. मशीन्स जो इतनी कैपेसिटी, आप कैपेसिटी इंक्रीज़ नहीं कर सकते मशीन की, बट यू कैन ऑपरेट इन अ फुल कैपेसिटी ऑफ दैट मशीन. तो दैट विल हेल्प इन शॉर्ट रन. देन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दिस आउटपुट ऑफ द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज आर डिसाइड कि कितना गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज एट पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड में आपको रिक्वायर है. क्लियर? Now the importance of forecasting. Why forecasting is so important? Basically, it tries to make a balance between production and distribution policy. जितना आप प्रोडक्शन कर रहे हैं और डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कितना हो रहा है, उनके बीच में एक प्रॉपर बैलेंस बनाने के लिए आपको डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग की रिक्वायरमेंट है. बिकॉज ओवर प्रोडक्शन, अंडर प्रोडक्शन बोथ आर नॉट गुड फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. इट फैसिलिटेट अ प्रॉपर कंट्रोल, coordination of various activities including a big organization. Okay. Then suitable decisions regarding plant capacity, raw material requirement, your space or building need, availability of labor and capital. You can take such type of decision with the help of this forecasting. It minimizes the inventory and other related costs also, because you try to equalize the production and demand. It also helps in evaluating the performance of your sales department. If you have estimated the demand forecast is this for in that particular period, and if the sales department does not meet it, you can easily identify the loopholes ki where is the problem. So demand forecasting play a very important role in this. How the forecasting is done? In forecasting, very first step is to determine the objective of forecasting. Why you are doing forecasting, for which purpose you are doing forecasting. Then select the period over which forecasting is to be made. कितने टाइम पीरियड के लिए आपको फोरकास्टिंग करनी है, बिकॉज द फोरकास्टिंग फॉर शॉर्ट रन इज़ डिफरेंट, इंटरमीडिएट रेंज इज़ डिफरेंट, लॉन्ग रन फोरकास्टिंग इज़ डिफरेंट. Then select the technique that you want to use for forecasting. आपके पास quantitative, qualitative techniques हैं, you have to select which technique is better. Then collect information to be used. जो information आपको चाहिए, then you have to collect that information based on the forecasting technique that you have selected, and then you have to make a forecast ki how much is needed. You make a forecast. Clear? So this is all about the forecasting. In another class, we will going to discuss the technique used in forecasting. Thank you, students.